Alright, hello and welcome ladies and gentlemen to a DotaBro presentation bringing you guys the consolation finals of the BroTournament. That's going to be deciding who goes third place, who goes fourth place, which is actually a pretty big difference since fourth place is actually only going to be a prize of $50. Well, the $250 prize pool will be for third place there. So, MadGaming going up against DTS2010, and I am Blaze Casting, joined here with it's going to be Blightwind, going to go on through. He's formerly of Ghosty Gamers, and now just going to be streaming up some awesome DotaBro games, so looking forward to it. Last game was pretty fun, and this one should be pretty action-packed as well.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the draft already, we're seeing kind of remnants of last game as well. I mean, MadGaming manages to pick up that Bat Rider once again. Hopefully they can do a bit more with it this time.
Yeah, exactly, but the Darkseer is on the board this time around. No Magnus ban, no Darkseer ban. Neither team fearing that much of the AoE initiation, and for that matter, they're going to be able to utilize that Darkseer. He's great as an offlaner, utilizing that surge to stay very mobile and escaping, and then, of course, the vacuum to pull in the opposition will be able to lock down really good AoE abilities. Pretty much using the AoE stuns, the AoE nukes, whatever they go with, it will set up everything along those lines, and of course the Wall of Replica, turning the enemy stats against them, and just really doing so much damage if he can get a solid Wall of Replica off in the mid to late stages of the game. But the Rubik will most likely be played as support. He can be played as solo mid, but just more often that's kind of been how we've seen him. One way or another though, once he hits level 6, he'll be stealing some pretty cool spells there, and hopefully utilizing them to their optimum efficiency. But what do you think about the Shadow Demon pickup? Do you think that's going to be what they need to, as far as the supportive role? Do you think that's going to be setting up their lanes for something big?
As far as I'm concerned, Shadow Demon is one of the best supports in the game right now. Disruption is so powerful as a ganking tool, as a counter-ganking tool. Soul Catcher is absolutely... it's retarded, really. It is a ridiculous ability that I love to pieces. Causing someone to take 50% more damage is just insane. Demonic Purge goes through BKB. It's a massive slow, does a decent amount of damage as well. So the Shadow Demon will be able to support this Luna so incredibly well. And even towards the later game, into like the later game, where a lot of supports tend to drop off a little bit, he stays very, very relevant because of that Soul Catcher. You throw that on really anyone on this, any of the 5 enemy heroes, you get it on there and you're able to just burst them down. It doesn't really matter. So he's incredibly effective. I think he's a great pick.
Yeah, definitely going to round out their lanes effectively, make sure Luna can just deliver a world of hurt there. The disruption with the Soul Catcher obviously setting up Lucent Beam to do a ton of damage, and then a few more right clicks coming out in there to hopefully bring down a kill there. And also you got to mention that the Shadow Demon, his Demonic Purge, will counteract the Ion Shell and Surge of Darkseer, both of them being positive buffs that you can negate. Not always going to be the case. I mean, the Ion Shell is not going to be the make or break thing in the middle of a gigantic team fight. More often just used to slow down a carry, despite whether or not he has a BKB. But the fact of the matter is he's going to be very, very high utility, control the lane very effectively, and hopefully set up Luna for some big farm that they kind of had to face up against last time around. MadGaming went up against L Pride, and the stock LP on the Luna just kind of dominated as far as last hits go. Had a hard time against the Bat Rider, but came on through it with some really big items towards the later stages of the game. So they're definitely going to try to kind of play their own style, not get caught up in the opposition. They are, I'm sure, individuals that can adapt, but the fact of the matter is the question of if they are, when they're playing their own style, when they're controlling their own pace of the game, if they're going to be able to come out on top, and we'll just have to see what DTS 2010 brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it looks, the lanes seem fairly even. The Rubik and the Keeper of the Light, I do like those pickups. It's a potential tri-lane. You could even throw Rubik mid if you really wanted to. So at this point, I think MadGaming should just ban out farmers like we've seen the Phantom Lancer, so even stuff like an Anti-Mage or a Sven. Ban out stuff that they want to throw into that tri-lane, because they're going to have Darkseer in that off lane, so as it stands now, they don't need more supports or anything like that.
Sure enough, yeah. So taking a lot of the harder carries off the board is going to be the best option there. Taking off the Phantom Lancer as he synergizes so well with that Keeper of the Light Chakra Magic, and kind of infusing that Spirit Lance to continue to spam that on out. And now they're going to actually go for some solo mid bans. They know that the Rubik is probably going to be played supportively, and for that matter, they don't want the mid lane to be too well controlled against that Bat Rider, as they want kind of complete control. They're not too. They already took off the Templar Assassin, so I don't have to worry about that. And with the Queen of Pain off the board, I'm trying to think of what else they really need to worry about as far as the mid lane goes. I mean, there's plenty of great heroes that will be able to pick up that slot in that role, but the question is whether or not it's going to be anything that Batrider has an issue with, and so far I'm having trouble coming to mind with anything that'll be able to trump him in a 1-versus-1 situation there. I mean, a Gyrocopter will come close, but one way or another, I think that the lanes are going to be really solid from coming out of Radiant no matter what.
And then we see a Chaos Knight's going to be banned out as well, so again, just trying to get rid of the farm-oriented people. And as it stands now, MadGaming needs some kind of team fight, I think. So I'd like to see like a Tidehunter, or even something that we don't see all that often, like an Earthshaker. We won't see the Enigma because he's been banned out. Brewmaster, there you go.
Perfect. Yeah, so he's going to allow them to just have that kind of frontline hero that can soak up a ton of damage with that Drunken Brawler with his high strength and base armor there, and from there he's going to be able to pop off that ultimate, add in a lot of disables. More Purge of the Storm Spirit, or Storm Panda I should say, actually does a Purge ability that will negate a lot of Dark Series benefits, but the bigger thing is the disables, sending out the Rock, sending out the Cyclone, making sure that there's people that were on the board and now are not. And I think that was a really good ban on the Chaos Knight. They're a little bit worried about illusion-based heroes, the Phantom Lancer and the Chaos Knight both falling under that category, because they already have a Darkseer on the board. With the Wall of Replica going against an Eclipse, in the middle of a team fight, if you get the Wall of Replica down and you have to face Phantasms or a Phantom Lancer, you're not going to be able to do any damage with that Eclipse whatsoever. It's just going to get soaked up by all those illusions and not going to be benefiting you hardly at all. So I think it's really good to ban out those two heroes, but they are going to give away the Life Stealer. Now they do have the two really good disables to deal with it. They have the Shadow Demon's Demonic Purge, which slows it down despite the rage, and same with the Flaming Lasso coming on through with that positional control and that hard disable, hard lockdown. So hopefully that will be enough to keep the Life Stealer on the chains, but unfortunately he does have the opportunity to farm up quite a bit, and if you can pick up even just an armlet, might have just high enough HP threshold to go back on into it and bring in a lot of last hits. Yeah,
I mean, we'll have to see if if the Life Stealer goes to the jungle, or if we'll just see him in the safe lane. I mean, a lot of people say that he doesn't have very much lane presence, but he can actually survive in the safe lane fairly well, and actually that's a pickup we don't see all that often. A Vengeful Spirit, and I'm a huge fan of her. Again, a support that will stay very relevant into the later game because of that damage aura.
Yeah, I like the Vengeful Spirit pickup in general. The question that I have is it that relevant when you already have a Shadow Demon? Shadow Demon's Disruption is kind of an initiation tool to set up everybody to get in position to bring someone down, and I kind of feel the same exact way about Magic Missile. It's a good stun, it's got good range, good projectile, and it can bring down the opposition pretty effectively there, but there's a couple things. I mean, Shadow Demon and Vengeful Spirit, they're kind of like two different sides of the same card. It's just like there's the tool, and that's initiation, that sets you up to bring them down, which would be the Disruption of the Purge, or the Magic Missile, or the Nether Swap, and then they have the damage amplification through the Aura and the Wave, and then they do have, of course, the Soul Catcher to compare those two. So, and they also have Vision Mechanic Tool. So honestly, I think they're very, very similar oriented heroes. There might be a little bit of redundancy there, but all in all, I think they're going to be able to do quite a bit of lockdown with those pickups there. And the Puck is going to be the final pick coming on through. I guess that's going to be a solo mid Puck, which would be really, really interesting. Seema picking that up, and just being very confident that if they can keep the opposition close, if they can pull them in, back them into a Wall of Replica, get a nice Dream Coil there, start charging to Illuminate. The fact of the matter is they expect the Darkseer and Life Stealer to do a large amount of physical damage, and the Cupid Light to kind of back that up in that AoE sense. So they're, yeah, relying on their positioning control with that mechanic there, and I think it could be very, very effective if they get the right team fight for it.
Yeah, for sure, and it looks like, yeah, you were right, it's going to be a solo mid Puck. I'm not a huge fan of him picking up the Illusionary Orb. At level 1, normally, you would see the phase shift because it allows you to trade, essentially, without cost. You go to auto attack, and then as soon as they try to auto attack you back, you phase shift, and it allows you to avoid the damage. And that's one of the biggest things that makes Puck a very, very powerful solo mid, is he's able to trade, probably the most effective trader in the game.
But one thing you have to keep in mind is that Brewmaster is probably going to be the mid here. He does have only 350 gold on person, so he's going to be rushing for that bottle pretty quickly, and it's a lot harder to go up against melee. Now you can phase shift out of the clap, but if he does do a couple clap cancels, it's kind of the same thing as going a Brewmaster versus Nyx. You just fake out the clap. As soon as they pop off their cooldown that allows them to avoid it, then he's going to have to waning Rift, or he's going to take the damage.
And yeah, actually, I figured they'd send the Batrider, but it looks like we're going to have an off-lane Batrider once again. Just figuring he'll be a lot more safe against this Lifestealer tri-lane than the Brewmaster would, and you want to get a relatively fast Blink Dagger on that Brewmaster, allow you to have that very powerful initiation with that Primal Split.
Yeah, very true, very true. So yeah, he's going to get lots of experience really quickly, and Creo feels pretty safe as far as going on the off-lane role. If he knows he's going to get shut down, you can just transition into jungle and kind of do that. But now, Phoenix and Sky kind of playing the game that L-Pride brought to them earlier, is trying to put some pressure out on the mid lane, but right now there is an Observer Ward right on the Ancients of the Radiant, and they're not going to be able to get in close. There's not a chance in the world that Seema will allow them to. Maybe bait them out to kind of walk in and waste a spell, but the Illusory Orb is always going to make sure that he can be in the right position at the right time, and there's just no way for them to flank. And this is kind of a dual roam with the Shadow Demon and Vengeful Spirit. Both of them individually are really great at roaming, but together they're going to be having to find, they absolutely have to find kills if they're going to be able to benefit at all from this setup here. Otherwise, I can just imagine if they don't find kills within the next few minutes, they're going to be sitting at level 1, 2, or 3 10 minutes in the game, and obviously not where you want to be for a very squishy support. So they need to find kills, and they're looking for the jungle, and they just might find it. Keep the Light is going to be coming on out and doing a little bit of stacking and pulling, but they're going to be roaming on around, and we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to go maybe try and find the Darkseer in the jungle. I think they're just kind of scouting around, seeing what they can find. They are going to go on the puck here.
He is level 2, he does pop the Waning Rift, and Illusory Orb's out, and the Magic Missile even witnesses completely, so easy escape. Pretty much Seema just playing the one hero that could survive of that situation 100% with almost no issue at all. So he popped off the Blink there and was able to phase shift right on out of every single source of damage forthcoming, and that was a lot of mana committed by MG and MadGaming, probably a little bit, I wouldn't say angry about it, but just frustrated that they weren't able to get what they were looking for there. Now there is Invisibility Rune popped off by Keeper Light, so now I can be able to initiate on him. And from there, yeah, it's just kind of a lot of action for little benefit there. They're roaming around, they're trying to support every single lane and try to put an advantage out. And it's generally a good strategy, but when a team like DTS2010 is warding effectively, responding appropriately, they're not going to be able to get as much out of it as they'd like. And that's going to allow CA to transition out of the jungle. Darkseer are going to head up top and just kind of go 1v1 versus the Luna, now that they know that the Vengeful Spirit and Shadow Demon have set up shop on the bottom lane here.
Yeah, looks like we're just going to have a pseudo tri-lane now with this Batrider looking to just try, because the roam kind of failed.
Okay, Magic Missile comes through from Sky, and I wasn't sure if they were just kind of drawing the line and trying to force the opposition back as the destruction comes out. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're just drawing the line, forcing the other person back, trying to just say, okay, well, we're trying to control the lane, but if we don't have the cooldowns available, then they're not going to be able to capitalize too much on that. That Magic Missile costing 110 mana every single time. The Disruption only doing so much if you get the Disable on to follow through. So right there. But back on mid lane, there is going to be a Regeneration Root popped out on Brewmaster. He was one hit from death, but Seema couldn't close that gap there. Not sure why he decided to clap, but, you know, free mana, why not?
Yeah, and again, Brewmaster's struggling a bit. How are the last hits doing? He's actually ahead on farm, and he's got himself a bit of a rune control, so I think Puck's just bringing himself his bottle now. So the mid lane's pretty much even as it stands right now. Excuse me. Darkseer, he's having a bit of a trouble against this Luna. Luna taking a bit of damage from those ion shells, but for the most part able to deal with it, and this Batrider is in probably one of the worst places ever.
Yeah, he's in a really rough spot, especially with that Observer Ward placement from Keeping the Light, just making sure that every single moment of every single day they know where he's at, what he's doing, and have a really great idea of how to counteract him. So, still sitting at level 2, 83 experience into it, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, because they can just force him off the lane anytime he comes forward there. And now, I'm not sure if Darkseer knows it, but he came up top to try to contest the top lane just a little bit now that the supports are gone, and there's really not too much that Luna can do underneath the tower. But the fact of the matter is there are these supports roam top, and the question is whether CA is aware of this fact. Rank 2 Surge will give him quite a bit of mobility, but can be banished out just as effectively. So they're going to be roaming, they're going to be looking to stack and pull, and if they opt to do that, then they're kind of not going to be able to bring down the Darkseer until they kind of converge all as 3, and they have to kind of commit to that kill very, very effectively. Otherwise that Surge will give him safety. But here comes the Magic Missile to start things off. A couple of right clicks with that rank 2 Lunar Blessing. He goes up northwest, but the Surge will be prevented by that banish.
And very nice little in there. I really like you saw Jorl. He walked actually through the disruption and placed himself in such a place that when the illusions came out, Darkseer was actually just trapped between the 3 of them in the trees. So even if he had Surge, great. You're moving really fast, but you don't have anywhere you can actually move. So
exactly. Whenever you're going into a choke point like that, you always have to worry about the triangle path block, and Luna Jorl just positioning himself perfectly to make sure that that is a reality and pretty much 100%. Opportunity for that to happen. So really, really effective for them. They obviously got the first blood out of that, which is great. I'm not sure why he opted for the Northwest in general. I guess he might have wanted to try to juke in through here and TP out, but yeah, one way or another, it's not going to be a moot point now. He did drop down, and that's going to be a lot of gold in the hands of Luna to start things off. She's not going for a Midas or anything like that, but Aquil, Tranquil, she'll start being able to put some pressure out. Probably go for a Magic Wand or Dominator next, and kind of go from there, as she can stack up Ancients pretty effectively and farm them on down very, very rapidly indeed. But it looks like Midas is going to be the item of choice for Lifestealer here. Just going to put a lot of gold and experience on the board for him and try to get that early game advantage compared to Luna and her current farm rate. Of course, he can't combat very effectively with just the 30 attack speed, but he benefits a lot from the attack speed from his Feast, and he also will be able to get a lot of big items out of that. In the meantime, there is going to be some rune control. Keep it light, babysitting Puck a little bit on that, sitting the rune and giving invisibility to that level 6 Puck, so he's going to be able to get some pretty good Dream Coils coming on out, but Brewmaster does have that Primal Split available if worse comes to worse.
Yeah, and he had like 2,000 or like 1,200 gold. What did he spend it all on? Like, I saw the Brewmaster had like 1,200 gold. I thought maybe he was just going for an extremely fast Blink Dagger. Now he's back down to like 500 gold. He's got his basic boots, so we might see him go for Phase or Arcanes, or he might even, from here, go straight into that Blink Dagger. Once you get that Blink Dagger, you blink into like 3 people, clap, pop the Primal Split, and just cause absolute havoc.
Absolutely.
I mean,
that's really what the initiation they need to kind of set things up. I mean, the Vengeful Spirit and Shadow Demon are doing pretty well now that they've roamed and successfully gotten a kill out of things. Shadow Demon going up to level 4, Vengeful Spirit finally up to level 3, but the fact of the matter is, if they go in and drop down the distance between them and the opposition, they're still sitting at about 600 HP apiece, and for that, they're going to be on the front line of things. They can get knocked down pretty hardcore from just a Telekinesis, a Waning Rift, and Open Wounds. I mean, they can get completely obliterated if they get themselves out of position here, so they have to watch it. But interesting choice with the Dream Coil. Whoa, nice Primal Split coming on out. That was, yeah, very, very close. If he did get in close enough to do the Waning Rift right there, then it would have been most assuredly a kill, but able to pop off the Primal Split at just the right time to be able to walk on out of there. Brewmaster on low life, though, will have to retreat to base, but at least with his life intact.
Yeah, and I had seen... So I do like what Batrider has been doing. He's basically completely abandoned this offlane, said, I'm not going to get any experience or farm here, so instead I'll just go into the jungle, stack up some of the smaller camps, and because he can jungle fairly effectively with those Tranquil Boots and the Firefly, and this way he's at least getting a little bit of farm and a little bit of experience. He's still behind, but it's kind of making up ground.
Exactly. He definitely needs to do that to get back on top of things, but on the other hand, it does mean that with this Observer Ward still up in the lane, they know that Batrider has not been anywhere near. They know that they can now transition on through, so they're just going to leave Aragold on bottom lane just to farm up like crazy with that Midas. Getting GPM of 359, he definitely wants to try to bring that up higher and higher, but in the meantime, Afterlife and Sedan are going to be roaming on around the Keeper Light and the Rubik, putting out some pressure on all the lanes, pushing out a little bit aggressively with the Illuminate, allowing Seema to bring down the Tier 1 tower on mid lane down to about a third HP, and that's going to just keep the pressure rolling in all the directions. The first tower kill is probably going to give a lot of really big gold momentum. I mean, I know that the Tier 1 was just dropped down on the top lane, but you can just see right off the bat with the gold graph how big of a difference that made for the entire team. Going over 1,000 gold advantage, so pretty much everybody's broken even until that point in time. So Luna getting the last hit on that, jumping up to 440 GPM, and now very effectively outclassing Lifestealer despite him having a couple charges drop down and hand to Midas. So really nice action there, and they need to keep that momentum rolling if they're going to want to control the mid game here. Of course, Blink Dagger will facilitate that. And interesting to see Dream Coil come out. He's going to surge on through that Ion Shell Waning Rip, and it is going to get stunned out in the end. So with that Illuminate, he's going to drop down. Nice action from all three of them coming on through. And you usually don't see Darkseer ganking up very much at the beginning, but CA, knowing that he can just send in his buddy with that Ion Shell, with that surge, and bring down the opposition. Now they're going to look for the Tier 1. Batrider doesn't have any mana really to contest this, so it's going to drop down. The last hit will go to Puck in the end, so he's going to be looking for a Blink Dagger of his own in just a moment, and that'll give him pretty much unlimited survivability potential. I mean, he can't go in necessarily 1 versus 5 if they flank out and spread out effectively, but in a big team fight, if he times his abilities appropriately, the rank 4 phase shift plus Blink Dagger is pretty much unkillable.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he is putting some more points in that Waning Rift, so he won't be able to do the whole shenanigans of orbing in, dropping the Dream Coil, dropping the Waning Rift, and then phase shift blank out. But give him a couple more levels, he'll easily be able to do that. We do have Luna, who's start working on a BKB. Lifestealer's doing great little job of just static farming. He's keeping this creep wave sitting at this exact spot for this entire time. I don't think it's shifted at all.
Exactly. Every single time I go down there, it's nowhere near the tower, but it's also not a dangerous spot in the world. They have counter wards up in this position, down towards the entrance of the jungle. They have the wards on the lane, so they know if anybody's TPing in. Actually, just look at the Radiant Vision in general. Hitting F1, I'm seeing a lot of action as far as covering the mid lane. Good wards in that position. They know if somebody TPs around the tier 1 mid, obviously now fallen, but they have put out the pressure. They know that anybody comes in that direction. Same thing with the tier 1 on bottom, so Lifesteal has a fairly good idea of anybody approaching, as long as they don't take like a very, very sneaky route right in this position here, which so far hasn't been the case. So he's getting very, very reliable farm, fearless, and he will continue to increase his gold value quite effectively, trying to most likely look for an armlet in the near future. But he's changed his strategy now. We were talking about how he's kept the lane in the exact same spot. Now with all this push going on, he's popping his Infest, trying to push up. Meanwhile, on top lane, the Eclipse comes on out, along with that Rat Rider initiation, being able to bring down 2 heroes now, the Cooper Light and the Rubik, and going to be able to pick up this last one, the Darkseer. Puck comes on in, does a nice little bit of initiation, but there's no damage to follow it up, and he's just going to suicide in the end.
And that is not what you want to... You don't want to give a Luna a triple kill at this point. They'll be able to easily pick up this tier 2 as well, so that'll put Luna about 1,000 gold from finishing that BKB. Actually, less than that, like 700 gold from finishing that BKB.
Last hit in that tower, just tons of gold through that, so she is just skyrocketing to 530 GPM, which is insane for a late game carry at only 12 minutes into the game. That's like extremely good. 302, 82 last hits, 2 tower kills under her belt. It's just really everything she could hope for in this game going on right through. So right now it's going to be allowing Luna to be very, very durable. She already picked up that Drum of Endurance, and that gives, you know, +9 to all attributes, including the strength, and now picking up that BKB in just a short while. She's going to be able to survive through that team fight, and with that rank 2 Eclipse, if it's in the jungle, if there's no wall of replica to tank things up, she's just going to be able to obliterate things with her amazing mobility, 425 movement speed right now, and they can't really do too much to her because she'll be immune to everything but the physical damage, physical auto attacks there.
Yeah, and I mean, Lifestealer, he's, like we had said, he's at least getting respectable farm. He's not as far ahead as Luna, but he's also not, like, ridiculously behind. He's going to be able to pick up what I imagine will be a Hyperstone, might go for Mjolnir, or he might just go for, like, the Assault Cuirass, might go for a fast Armlet. There's a couple different routes he could go, but he's doing alright as far as farm is concerned. I don't know how his sports are doing. Keeper of the Light's only sitting on the Buckler.
Yeah, gang coming in on the bottom lane. It's going to be 3 versus 2. It's Shadow Demon is poured on out, leaving his buddy for dead. They won't be able to stun it out, so it's just going to be Vengeance Spirit. And in the end, going to be a quick pickoff. But back up on top lane, there's an engage between Luna and Darkseer. He has that surge. The Dream Coil comes out on Luna. They want to bring her down, but she's so darn tanky right now with that Overflow. She is going to be able to get some right clicks and Lucent Beams on Puck. Phase shift pop as well as the vacuum. And he does actually get the Blink Dagger off right before the auto attack lands. Now looking for Darkseer, but that Drunken Haze not going to do too much against that rank 2 surge. He's going to be able to run right on out of there, and in the end, not too much coming out of that. Blink Dagger on the Bat Rider, Armlet on the left, after he finally takes down that tier 1 on bottom. So that's all in all going to be pretty much not too much going on. Right now it's 14 minutes of the game, and it's only 2 and 5. The most recent action being that triple kill on bottom, but now Zidane getting picked off. He is getting a little bit of revenge for that kill on bottom lane. Sky going to be able to pick that, or sorry, Shadow Demon going to pick that up, but Sky helping out in that regard. Now looking for Afterlife on the bottom. There is good Flame Break, there is good Napalm stacks, but they does have the Magic Missile stolen for the time being, but the last will come on through, committing to this, and going to be able to bring him down to the count. So nice little kill on him. There's really nothing that Airgold and Kima can do right now, especially with him being on such low mana. They're going to infest on in, though. They're going to look for a Blink, Waning Rift, and Infest initiation. The question is there enough damage? He does come on through. They don't have a Dream Coil, but they have the Orb. Nice little disruption, but it's just going to delay the inevitable if they can go and focus him down. But here comes the Eclipse onto Seema, popping up the phase shift. It avoids all that damage, but now Vengeance Spirit pinned in will take a fall. Same with Puck. It's pretty much a mirror exactly what happened up on the northern and southern positions. The exact opposite thing occurred, but one way or another, there will be 3 kills on the board. The Bat Rider having fallen much earlier.
Brewmaster's going to come in. We'll probably see him attempt for a primal split. he kind of just walked in, got open wound. He's gonna get thrown up in the air now. He's going to have
Wow, so much damage. Open wound's coming out through. He's gonna pop it off the final split. Will he try to turn this around though is the question. Everybody's on full life. The Rubik teleported back on in. Now I don't think to his death the Fire Pan's gonna get nuked down. That's all the damage that the final split can do. And now he has to turn around. There's no follow-up. He has to run for his life, but they're gonna focus on the Earth Panda. Only 1/3 HP remaining on this Brewmaster. He doesn't really have any way of getting out of here. The final split is stolen. Afterlife has his own Rublings to just run on through, and I guess there was a lifestealer pickoff on Shadow Demon, finding himself out of position, but Brewmaster is definitely the main guy you're looking at here as far as out of position goes, but it looks like Batroy is going to be able to back him up. No Steema, blinking on in, Raining Rip to finish the job, and nice little vacuum Dream Coil as well. Batroy is not going to be able to do much with this. Once the Firefly off the cliff, will it be enough? No, right clicks going on through, neither missing, and they're going to be able to lock him down as well. So a lot more action picking up since that little bit of reprieve when they were just kind of pushing and farming, but Life still brings out that armlet, the BKB up on Luna, Blink Dagger, and Batrider, and as soon as those things come out, yeah, just all the gloves are off, and they are able to just go so crazy aggressive. Now coming out in favor, comparatively speaking, for DTS 2010, getting so much out of those exchanges. And we have a quick DC coming out for Batrider.
I don't know what was up with that engagement. Like I literally can't wrap my head around what Brewmaster was attempting to do there. Well, like, I see what he was trying to do. He was trying to get in a good place where you could clap and then do the primal split, but, I mean, he chased way too deep. And just that over-aggression, and that's where a lot of newer teams kind of will struggle, is they try for this hyper-aggressive style, but they don't weigh the risks properly, so then they end up in positions where one person's caught out, and then like the rest of the team tries to come in and help you, but then you get caught in the huge team fight AoEs, and you're basically walking into where they want you. You're walking into the position that they want, and they're able to just tear you apart. I mean, if you look at one point, it was like 7-2, and now it's pretty much even on kills, all because of a couple silly mistakes.
I definitely agree with that there. And one thing I gotta say is just the kind of mindset of a Brewmaster hero compared to the rest. A lot of the heroes on MadGaming's lineup here are kind of one-and-done type heroes. You pop off the Disruption, the Soul Catcher, the Demonic Purge, you pop off the Nether Swap, the Magic Missile, and that's it. I mean, they are relatively short cooldowns, 10 seconds later you will be able to do one more thing, but for the most part, you're not going to be in the fray just being like, bam, I'm going to throw down a Thunderclap, I'm going to pop off all these abilities and do a bunch of damage over time and continuous disables. It's usually just to jump in, drop these things, and there's not that much follow-up. Honestly, Luna is the only hero that has that much follow-up, Firefly being kind of an exception to that, as it does continuous damage over time. But for the fact of the matter is, Brewmaster jumped in, and the cooldowns weren't available. Everybody was falling back from that position, and I don't know if it was miscommunication or just really overestimating his potential there, but once they killed the Fire Panda, there was absolutely nothing OBB could have done to bring down his opposition, his quarry there, the Rubik, and for that matter, he was pretty much essentially throwing his life away. And like I said, the spell still did come out. Those animations, the cast animations for Brewmaster are very substantial. I think it's 0.4 seconds, and for that reason, the spell steal is really easy to bring on down. So Primal Split up for the Rubik, and there is some aggression with that Batrider lasso. The Illuminate will come out from the spirit form of the Keep It Light, but it's going to just be able to do a little bit of damage to try to pursue under the Brewmaster. No, everybody's going to be falling back for the time being. Batrider, the Dream Coil will pop off on him. Some stuns coming out. Lifestealer on low life, though. Will he drop down before the Rage comes out? He gets the Rage, but the Armlet toggle fails, and for that reason, he will drop down. Now, nice little phase shift, Illusion Orb action. He's going to be able to walk on away, but Rubik has that Brewmaster action going. It's going to expire, though, and now just popping off some telekinesis, getting stunned up in turn. Now there is some damage coming out from Lifestealer. He bought back, TP back on in. Surge, but getting body blocked by his own teammates on the northern end. Sarkster can't really do too much to help out, but they are going to be able to clean up the Shadow Demon on the western end of things, and from there they're going to disengage, which is, in the end, I would have to say just another even trade, but more and more of those trades are going to come out more favorably for the Radiant for DTS 2010. They're not committing as many ultimates, and Lifestealer is getting more and more farmed every single one. He's going to be looking for a Desolator pretty soon and can do so much damage with that.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they didn't really commit a whole lot to it. Dream Coil, very short cooldown, only 85 seconds. And Rubik being able to constantly steal any ultimates that you have actually used up. I mean, if he steals like the Primal Split again or an Eclipse, that'll be a huge amount of damage. Even if he steals like the Flame Lasso, the amount of potential that gives DTS 2010 is just ridiculous. And it seems like MadGaming's trying to force things too much. they are constantly, like, one person will get caught. Like I said, one person gets caught out, and they'll, like, 3 of them will rush in to try and save them, but they don't do it in a manner that's safe. And they'll end up all kind of getting spread out. You saw in that fight, Luna went one way, and then, like, the rest of the team went up back towards their lane, and everyone just kind of went in different directions and all got picked off individually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both teams are just really trying to gain the upper hand, and I think MadGaming is a little bit more desperate in that they have Blink Dagger Initiation ×2 now, with the Brewmaster having 1 in tow, so that means that they're going to be looking to try to engage in big fights with the Vacuum and the Wall of Replica to start things off. Are they going to be able to fall back from this? If they just walk away successfully, that in of itself is a win, but they have taken a lot of damage and are trying to be on the run. There comes the Blink Dagger Initiation from Pug, and Dream Coil on 3, the Swamp comes on through, Lot on low life, the Vengeful Spirit and the Shadow Demon both. Now Lexler really wants some kills, but instead going to focus on Creo, going to be able to bring him down, gets sent up by the Storm Panda right after Magic Missile comes on through. CA surging up, trying to go aggressive, and now Lifestealer is going to fall. The Illusion Orb finishing off the Vengeful Spirit, looking for Shadow Demon. The Eclipse finally comes on out. The BKB has already expired, though, popping up a lot of damage on Seema, though, and they're actually going to get 2 kills out of that. And Joral picking up some really, really good cleanup there with that Eclipse. I'm surprised he hung on to it that long, but didn't find an opportunity until just that moment when he was able to really, really clean that down. And they're going to look for a tier 1 on the bottom lane as a direct result of that.
Yeah, and like, I'm not used to dealing with 2 teams that are this aggressive at all times. Like, these 2 are just like, screw farming, screw trying to split, push. We are just going to smash 5 heroes against 5 heroes until somebody wipes, like, until you get a situation like this where it's like 4 people are dead on one side, and then we're gonna take a tower. Screw it, we're playing this old school, like, BattleBot style.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think the reason for it is just the late game is so unpredictable from both teams. Usually it's one team has more aggressive early to mid game, and they want to try to make sure that they can at least take so many points on the board that the late game doesn't matter, and the other team has the later game heroes. They have more scalable heroes, and they just want to be able to survive just long enough to get to a point where they are overwhelmingly the victors. But in this case, it's more difficult. It's a lot less clear-cut. The Lifestealer is a good late game carry, same with the Luna, but there is also a lot of disable on MadGaming. They have the Batrider Lasso, they have the Brewmaster's abilities, and disables really are kind of the key thing in late game engagements, because, you know, 100% damage reduction is always going to be better than just getting a little bit more crit on somebody. But also you have to keep in mind there's the Darkseer. He has the Wall of Replica. When that gets to rank 3, that's going to wreak so much havoc, stealing the Lunar Blessing, being based on, actually also stealing the Command Aura, the Vengeance Aura for that matter. So getting a lot of benefits out of the illusions that are going to be coming on through, and along with that, they are also getting their stats turned back in their direction. Pretty much their base damage will be slightly reduced, thrown right back in their faces, and they're going to have to fight up against that, which is going to be more and more difficult as the game goes along, and Rubik, of course, being kind of a wild card no matter what. So I think both teams are kind of looking at the stage of, we need to get the right initiation. If Darkseer initiates more effectively and maybe gets a pipe later on, there is no way they're going to lose the team fight. If the Brewmaster gets a good pick off, if Batrider jumps in and is able to later on force staff somebody out, that's going to be the engage they need to win a fight. So it's kind of unpredictable in the late game, and that way, for that reason, I think both teams are looking to just try to secure an early to mid game domination, because they feel that this is their time to shine with those Blink Daggers finally online. So they're going to take the tier 1, and obviously we see MadGaming getting a direct result of benefit out of that. Goldgraph kind of going back in their direction, but it's really back and forth, and I honestly cannot tell you whose game it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's great watching games like this, because, yeah, it's not like one team's absolutely spiraling out of control. They're both totally in this still. And like you said, it's going to come down to that initiation factor. Because, I mean, if the Radiant team is able to get a vacuum into a wall into, like, a 5-man Dream Coil, that's pretty much guarantees the fight. Especially if, like, there's an Infest thrown in there for good measure. Sure. That will, like, pretty much seal the fight, because that's just so much stun and damage that will come out. But at the same time, if you get, like, a good pick-off, you isolate one hero with a disruption, and then do a, like, blink clap primal split, and are able to pick off 1 or 2 people, and then go to take the team a further team fight from there, it'll swing things into MG's favor.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's going to be more and more interesting as the items come out further and further. The one thing I gotta say is BKB on Luna has been reducing every single time she uses it, so now down to 8 seconds. Next is gonna be 7, and it's just gonna get harder and harder to use that effectively in the fight to get a full eclipse off, and those kinds of things there. Along with that, the Keep of Light picking up that mechanism, the pipe already out on Darkseer, those kinds of teamfight utility items are really going to be clutch in these big engages here, because honestly, Firefly, the Eclipse, things like that aren't going to matter nearly as much if everybody is piped up, especially if Wall of Replicas come out and then they get piped. In turn, the Eclipse is going to do almost nothing, even when it hits rank 3, which is a key aspect of Luna's hero. So, pretty much, they are looking for the right engagement, and I think that the Radiant had the opportunity to find it, but now, Last will come out through, they had the wards, they pop off on Satan, they're going to be able to bring it down, the mech comes out, but it's too little too late. Now, Lifestealer on low life, or on high life, but he's dropping down really, really quickly with that Purge going on through, swaps him away from his target, and he's going to be able to be dropped down. Now, there is a disconnect coming out from the Darkseer, so they're probably going to pause before this concludes. Now they're going to finish it off. Afterlife going to take the ball with a magic missile and a Lucent Beam to the face. Now, if they aren't able to finish off the puck, obviously he's very slippery, but Hasterin is going to try to help him pursue. Now he's going to TP right on out there, and presumably a pause will follow.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty like standard etiquette to wait for a team fight to end before you start pausing. So that was where the slight delay was. I mean, and even having the Darkseer be still in that probably wouldn't have helped that. Bit of a out of position by Shadon, being caught out. I mean, that Blink Flame Lasso, very difficult to account for, because normally in a team fight, or even in when you're going to contest something like Roshan, you're able to say, okay, I'm going to stand here because they're all there and they've got these abilities, and from here I'm kind of out of range, or I'll most likely not be the primary target. But with something like Blink Lasso, especially once this Black Rider picks up a Force Staff, basically anywhere even remotely close to the Dire team is going to be out of position, because they will force you out to be out of position.
That's very, very true, and it's exactly what they're kind of going for with their current composition here, with the swap, with the Lasso going into Force Staff after the Blink. Those are things that are really just completely trying to control the positioning. If you combine that with the disruption from Shadow Demon and the Brewmaster's Storm Panda's Tornado, you get a 6-second disable, 2.5-second disable. Just take them out of the fight. Pick off the people that you want, and try to engage half their team at once. If you're going for, obviously everybody knows 1 versus 5 Dota is not going to work. If you go one at a time, you're going to get dropped down, but obviously pro teams are generally not going to do that. They're going to be going in as 5, coordinated engagements, maybe initiate with the right person, then follow up right after the fact. But right here, with the kind of control that MadGaming has brought to the table, they can make it so that it's kind of a 1 by 1 type thing. They do the lasso in, they do the swap in, they do the disruptions, they pop off somebody in the air with the tornado, and all those things just kind of pick the team apart individually. I mean, they could honestly disable 3 people at once and then just go for the Lifestealer or something like that and just barrage him down with a large amount of auto attack damage from Lunar Blessing and not really later on Assault Cross, but it doesn't really matter. Luna's going to get her Mantis down. There's just a lot of damage coming out. So in that specific engagement, obviously they got the pick off they were looking for, and it comes down to warding. Vengeful Spirit putting up some good observer wards down near the bottom rune spawn, even sentrying out to make sure that that wasn't going to be an issue. Wow, 2 sentries. They really wanted to make sure this ward in this position, you can't really see it as I can't draw on the map, but in the northwestern position near the Roche pit was also taken off the board. So really, really controlling that kind of stuff. But anyways, Dural really kind of taking charge of this thing. When he gets the Aegis the Immortal, he will be able to be playing that much more aggressively. Pretty much what you do with your first life is you just kind of do some good right-click damage, a couple Lucent Beams, sending it out, and you'll be okay with dying, because as soon as you come back, you pop off the Eclipse, Drum, and BKB, and you just go to town, cleaning up the fight hardcore, and that's going to be what they're looking for in these engages here to follow up in the next 6 minutes.
Yeah, so this is going to be well, not necessarily a free Roshan, but Roshan picked up by the Dire team here, and they are going to most likely look to take down this tier 1 on the mid lane. It's pretty much untouched, but the one big thing about Luna that makes her such an effective... Why do we have a pause again? But one of the things that makes her such an effective pusher as far as a carry is concerned is that Lunar Blessing. I mean, the amount... and stack that on top of the Vengeance Aura, the amount of damage, like, you look even Vengeful Spirit, who's got Arcanes, is hitting for like 130 damage. It's insane.
It really, really does stack up very rapidly there, and if you apply the Soul Catcher and, you know, when she ranks up the Wave of Terror, those kinds of things, when they come into play, it'll completely change things. We actually haven't even talked about the range of initiation on Nether Swap. She's about to hit level 11, and that's going to be amplified multiple times over. She's going to increase it by effectively 50% of the range of initiation there for that specifically. It's obviously not the same as a Blink Dagger, but when you look at it, it's just going to be picking apart the team fight like I was talking about. And when they can single people out and they have both those auras active, yeah, they're going to be doing a heck of a lot of damage. Even the Mantle Style Illusions are going to be just doing a lot based on agility, but there's, you know, the Lunar Blessing, the Vengeance Aura is going to make sure Luna is going to be doing so much with those glaives, doing a large amount of single target damage and hitting everybody else in turn. So she has a little bit of cleave going on through the team fight, and yeah, it's just going to be really, really powerful. Like you said, there's 130 damage on a hero that is hard support, not building any damage items whatsoever. That just adds that much more right-click potential to their entire lineup, so that's very, very effective. Obviously, we're not seeing an aura stack because we don't have the Beastmaster aura there, but it's going to help them out one way or another.
And it looks like the Radiant team's having a little bit of fun with the drawing on the map. They're thankfully keeping it PG-13 now,
exactly.
But before it wasn't exactly the case. But
sure enough, sure enough. Well, yeah, you know, it's actually really, really intrinsic strategies that we just can't exactly comprehend.
Oh, yeah,
of course. Cryptically communicating there. They said their TeamSpeak was having issues, so they've decided to communicate through the minimap now, and that's just pretty much where they've been practicing with each other so much that they know exactly how to send these messages that we can't even completely fathom, so I don't know what's going on with the pause, but hopefully we'll be getting on through it in just a little bit. As far as Puck's Ultimate Orb, do you think he's going to go for a Lincoln Sphere, or going to be picking up something more like a Scythe of Ice?
I mean, it's tough to tell with just the Ultimate Orb, because an Ultimate Orb goes into so many different things. But, I mean, I want to say that it'll be for a Sheepstick, just because that seems like it fits what they're going for a bit better. They're going for this like hard lockdown, and they want to keep the Luna out of the fight, or even like being able to polymorph the Brewmaster before he gets Primal Split off. If you're able to keep him constantly stunned and locked down and shred through him, he's actually a fairly squishy hero. Like, he's only got about 1,400 life, but not very much armor. You can shred through him decently fast, and if you get rid of him before he pops that Primal Split, that's a huge team fight advantage for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people underestimate the Waning Rift with its 3-second duration silence. I mean, it's no Night Stalker, but that's an AoE of 3 seconds. It's half a silencer ultimate right there if you get it in the right position with a vacuum or something along those lines. So if you can lock down somebody that's reliant on those spells to escape on out, specifically the Brewmaster in this case, then that's going to be a really big deal. Of course, soon enough there will be a Force Staff on the board that can pull him out of a really bad spot, but one way or another, if you can delay that ultimate, or even just fight on through it, the fact of the matter is it doesn't scale insanely well. He will get the Aghanims, he will get the level 16, and that'll be really great, but they will be able to be dropped down with just some really good right clicks, especially from Lifestealer. Going up against the Earth Panda has a large amount of base HP, but you can just feast on through a lot of that, regenerate a lot yourself, and be able to bring down the pandas very, very quickly. So unless Obey B is really good at microing and pulls out his Storm Panda immediately, you can even bring that down. So with one way or another, it's not an unkillable thing. It's definitely something that they can choose to focus, but I think they really need to make sure their focus is not too skewed from looking at Luna and trying to make sure that they can bring her down in time, because right now she's not building really hard tank. She might have a Satanic in a long while, but right now, as far as strength goes, she only has the +10 and +9 that she's had all game long. So as soon as that Aegis is off the board, she should be the primary target of choice.
Yeah, unfortunately, looks like we might just be continuing without the Darkseer. There we go. He is back in the... And I mean, it always sucks, especially with such a close, fast-paced game, to see them see it be because someone disconnected and couldn't get back into the game. But as far as item pickups, like what should they go for? Luna does have this Helm of the Dominator, so I think she will look to get a Mantis style next, and then possibly a Satanic. Maybe just use the Helm of the Dominator for some ancient stacking. and then maybe go for like a butterfly or something like that to help deal with this lifestealer. He does have his Desolator now, so I think that after the Aghanims, Brewmaster should look to pick up an Assault Cuirass just to help counter that minus armor, because with this Desolator, he's going to be chewing through some of these supports. Like, this poor Shadow Demon is going to get like 3-shot. And then as far as... And also, I think they really should get some teamfight utility items. Even something like a Yule's to help take the Lifestealer out of the fight and give themselves that little bit of room.
Yeah, why don't they just buy 5 Yule Scepters so they can Tornado and banish him, and then just throw him up with 5 Yules in a row, lasso him down. I mean, seriously, then start the cooldown rotation all over again. Just permanently throws them out of the fight. I don't know. They have a lot already, but I definitely think that as soon as that rage wears off, they should have the teamfight to make sure that he's not hitting on anything. At the very least, the Drunken Haze to limit how much he locks down on somebody. But yeah, if they can do something like that, then they can really, really dominate these fights. All they'll have to worry about then is the damage from the initiation of Puck and Darkseer and those kinds of things there. I mean, yeah, the Illuminate will do quite a bit too, but there's only so much you can counteract for. Now, Xema jumping in and immediately taking off CO. The Dream Coil only hits on 1, but he's looking for more with that positioning, going for the Ethereal Jaunt, and now he doesn't really have anything, but he does phase shift on out of that Magic Missile, gets a couple right clicks. The Destruction will delay the inevitable, the Brewmaster will pop up the clap, and the ultimate, the Eclipse will come on out, but Vengeful Spirit will die in the back of things despite the swap. Now Xema coming back on in. What do they have available? I was talking about that Brewmaster taking a lot of damage. They already took down the Fire Panda, and now the Wind. Can they take down the Earth as well? I believe they can. They just need to get a little bit closer. However, he has only a few seconds left. A couple more right clicks, one more. No, he's going to survive for the time being. He's going to actually take down the life shield. The H will pop off of Luna. Now CA should be brought down just from the Drunken Haze, but the rank 2 surge has come on through. Joral has 465 movement speed right now. Is it enough? Not against that 522. But the Drunken Haze does come on. Stay down. Still having some mana available, but they're all going to fall back from that position. It looks like there was a buyback from the Vengeful Spirit as well.
Yeah, that was, again, really weird team fight. Like, I don't want to say it was sloppy, but it was just, like, all over the place. Everyone just kind of... There was action in tiny little pockets. It's not like normally where you see, like, it's all centralized in one location. We are going to see a lasso on Keeper of the Light. And
the nice magic damage nuke, and they're going to be able to bring him down. Brewmaster is on low life, but I don't think even Puck has the opportunity to jump in on that, despite teleporting to tier 2. He can't. He has a lot of range of initiation with that Blink, with that Illusory Orb, but I don't think he can get from the Fountain to the Brewmaster in that short period of time there. So they're going to be able to hang on to what they need to. In the meantime, Keeper of the Light buying back. They feel they need to contest this tier 2. I don't even know if they were going to push it, though. Given the status of all of them, they popped off a lot of ultimates. Eclipse not available, Lasso no longer, and the Brewmaster doesn't have either Primal Split or any HP to work with. So the fact of the matter is, although the Aghanim Scepter is up, I don't feel that buyback was necessary when he's only level 9 and would have come back into the game really, really quickly anyways.
Well, I mean, I know Keeper of the Light is primarily picked up as a counter push, because that Illuminate allows you to tear through creep waves so effectively. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, that was a totally needless buyback, because as a level 9 Keeper of the Light, you aren't going, like, you being missing isn't going to stop the tower from going down. Like, I know that you're picked up for that reason, but sorry, like, when you have all of this push potential, you aren't going to be able to stop them if they really wanted to take that tier 2.
Definitely. One thing I think we need to be looking for in just a little bit, we've already talked about the time period where the Blink Daggers come out, Batrider really comes online, now the Force Staff really, really able to pull the enemy out of position. Now we're looking at the Brewmaster. He has picked up his Aghanims and is only 1 level away, just 1500 short experience away from that level 16, so when he gets those Super, Mighty Morphin, Primal Split, Brewmaster Pandas, they're going to be able to do so much there and jump on in with a lot of damage. The stuns will remain the same essentially, but the Fire Panda will be wreaking havoc, and if they can get some good disables along with it, I think that they can use that to great effect. We saw just how barely the Panda could just barely hang on with the amount of life that he had previously, and it's going to be where he just has that much more life to work with. So despite the Desolator, Lifestealer not able to bring him down if he's kiting effectively enough, and in this case I believe that will remain to be the case, especially once he gets at level 16, since he is effectively raking up his Pandas twice over in just a few short minutes. So that's pretty important, and that's going to be an important thing in the next few minutes, because we talked about how the Eclipse is helpful, but not really going to be the end-all be-all, especially if there's a Wild Replica on the board, and now we're going to just have to see how the right click comes into play with that Manta style. I'll finish finished up. 6 seconds BKB. She's going to have to rely on the Mantis Tile for a lot, really. She's it doesn't remove Dream Coil, correct? Wow, complete miss BKB on bottom lane. So Joral just wants to make sure those creeps are not going to be able to cast some major spell lockdown, and going to be able to.
And I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things that we look at and we kind of laugh and chuckle about, but that is actually a huge deal. Like, especially in a game that's so close, needlessly wasting not only the charge, but now you've got your BKB on cooldown for like 30 seconds. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to have a clash for 30 seconds, but it's a pretty big deal.
That also means they don't really have the option, because going in without that is kind of suicidal for the Luna right now. And actually, Brewmaster's getting picked off. They push down on tier 2, which is nice, but now the Lasso comes out on life, so they're walking right on through the wall replica, though, force-staffing him away, but actually just giving him a nudge in the right direction with the Flame Break. The Pandas will come on through, and there is a lot of damage coming out from this Eclipse, but it is being nullified by the Pipe of Insight. However, there will be enough damage to bring on the life stealer now. Keep Light falling on the western end of things, and they're going to be able to get this disruption up. There was a nice little spell steal from the Rubik, but he pops it off just before he is going to die anyways. So, the Dispel going to cancel out that Tornado for them to finish off Darkseer, and from there, he's going to be able to push down the lane pretty hardcore. Fact of the matter is, Puck. Oh no, that's an illusion. Never mind. Puck was on bottom lane there, but he didn't contribute enough. He got the Dream Coil, he got the Initiation on Panda, but after he wasted all those spells, he could not really contribute to that fight, and they were able to just kind of really counter-initiate. And we have another disconnect coming out, but we do have the tier 2 falling, and looking at the gold graph now plunging down in favor of MadGaming right here. They're looking at 7,500 as far as the gold advantage, and even more so in the experience department. So it has been mostly in favor of the Radiant for the first half of the game, but now we're moving forward, and we're seeing a lot of potential coming out of this lineup here. So Rubik has respawned. I'm assuming they should probably be pausing in just a moment, but one way or another these racks will fall. Nothing's going to change that now.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things, and there you go. He's reconnected already, and it wasn't going to save the barracks anyways. And that team fight was a little bit weird. I mean, wasting the Dream Coil on a single person. If you do that at, like, the 10-minute mark, fine. Again, using Dream Coil on a single person, he's just going to get disrupted. The orb does pick him up.
Barely flipping him. Nice play there. So, didn't really commentate on that specifically, but they were able to do a little bit of pick off on the Batrider right there. The Dream Coil I thought might have been wasted too, but they broke the stun, the Illusion Orb blocked him down, and Shadow Demon came with that disruption, which apparently made him close enough to make sure that he was going to take a fall as well. So 2 free kills, and now the Infest on Seema. He's going to be looking for some initiation. He does go for that Scythe of Ice, really wants to make sure that he can lock down. Now that Luna's BKB is only 5 seconds, that's much more viable of an option. They don't have vision on Joral right here, but they're going to be trying to kind of go for gas. They go for the Blink, they find him, they go for the Scythe. Did they have vision? Because I don't know, but one way or another, they did a perfect initiation on him. They're not going to be able to bring him down, though, with that BKB popped off. Just going to force him out of that position there. Urgold being locked down a little bit, and now with the Illusion Beam, with the Flap coming out through, the Rage is on cooldown, he's going to take a fall. So that's really big pick off. 60 seconds in the grave, not farming, and losing a lot of gold for it. So that is really aggressive play. They were going in blind, and the fact of the matter is they couldn't finish the Luna in time. The Vengeful Spirit using that rank 2 swap to pull him back into his demise. Very effective play, and good TP retaliation by Sky.
But one of the big issues for me is this Lifestealer is trying too hard to gank, I think. If you look, Luna's level 19, he's only level 16. Like, he's the same level as this roaming, like, he's the same level as the solo mid Brewmaster. He needs to just go to a lane, get himself some levels, get himself some farm. He hasn't picked up a new item for quite some time now.
Yeah, he desperately needs a Monkey King bar. He's going up not only against the Brewmaster's Drunken Haze and Drunken Brawler, but now against the Butterfly with all that evasion going on through. It's going to be very difficult to lock anybody down here, and he really needs to be looking into that Monkey King bar, but he doesn't really even have the strength to back that up. Armament providing 25 is nice, but it's not going to be the end-all be-all of him surviving in a big engagement, especially if he gets disabled by that Flaming Lasso. So now a double damage Luna, having just recently picked up a Butterfly, and throwing in a Wildkin to boot for a little bit of bonus armor and tornado action. It's going to be really difficult to fight this in the appropriate engagement. Again, yeah, they have the walled replica, they can put that down right at the entrance of their base, but all in all, they're going to be able to hold the line. But if the engage goes on through, I think that there's still a lot of potential, especially from the damage coming out of Brawl right now.
Yeah, I mean, just the pure item difference between these two carries is definitely showing kind of the pace of the game. When you have a Brewmaster, he wants to control that mid-game tempo, which I at least feel he did. He set the pace of the team fights. There was a couple of moments where he was a little overly aggressive, but he was able to dictate kind of the tempo and at least keep them within the game. Roshan's going to be up here in pretty much any minute now, and once they pick that up, I think they're going to look to finish this.
Yep, so they do know that's spawn. They're going to go ahead back the right that direction, but there is going to be a pickup. And Spirit getting silenced up, pops off the Ghost, but there won't be enough Fade Bolt to finishing them off. And now they're going to look for a disengage. There is a little Piglet that could. Luna running for her life, doesn't have a BKB just yet, but gets disruption for the time being. Life still pops off that rage. Now getting slowed up so much by the demonic first. Pipe does come out. The Eclipse not doing enough, but Darkseer taking a lot of damage. Will get dropped down in the end. Primal Split has been popped off, and for that reason they're going to be able to pursue on Sedan. They don't actually use the Windwalk to get the Tornado, but they don't need it. Too much right click, too much mobility from Luna on the eastern end, pursuing Sima, but he should be able to get on out. Just... Sorry.
Radiant's middle barracks.
Sorry about that. No, yeah, I mean, he's puck. He's got the Illusory Orb, the Blink Dagger, the Phase Shift, and he's going to be alright. But in response to that, they took down 3 heroes. They're not even going to bother with Roche. They're just going to look to take down this tier 3. They've already taken down mid-racks. They're going to be looking for bottom, and that's going to be extremely effective for them because they really have nobody to contest them right now with the life still in the grave. And the Darkseer having already popped the wall of Replica. Now, that's interesting. Disruption, pulling away the ball of Shadow that was the Rubik, but now the Lasso has been popped off, but well worth it to pick off that hero and be able to just drop down the opposition. Sima popping off that. He's probably going to drop right now. Yeah, completely just out of his element there. Popping off way too many abilities, and it's called good game, well played.
So there you go. I mean, MadGaming takes 3rd place within this tournament, and it seemed like towards the end there, DTS was just trying to force things too much, and it's a little bit scary when you catch somebody out, like they caught the Vengeful Spirit, and essentially forced a team fight that way, and still end up losing like 3 you know, when you catch somebody out and force a team fight, and everyone blows everything, and you don't actually kill anybody, that's a bit of a bad sign. Big contributors to that, I think, was the Demonic Purge, make kiting Lifestealer just so easy, and it's insane how effective that is against him.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
And that's Lifestealer's biggest problem, is he'll get kited around.
Yeah, definitely a big issue to have that lack of mobility on the hero there. I mean, he didn't build mobility-based items. I mean, there wasn't any kind of like phase drum action. Actually, not even seeing a drum on the team at all. A couple bracers coming out, but they didn't have a drum. So right there, they had the movement disadvantage from the fact that the Django of Endurance was on the Luna, and they were able to stay mobile, stay active, and actually initiate appropriately. So with one Blink Dagger on the hero that already had a bit of mobility, and the fact that they didn't have a Drum of Endurance, it was really easy to stay active. I mean, the Darkseer did have that surge and pop that off on Lifesteal rather frequently, but all in all, he didn't have enough DPS time on the opposition to really make the most of these big team fights here. Luna used that BKB often and early, and you can see the kind of direct result of that with her KDA. 13, 1, and 5, sorry, 15. Dropped down once, but got 15 assists, very active in the team fights, and just continuously doing what she needed to do to bring down the opposition there. So really nice play there. Obviously, level 21 Luna, being able to do whatever she wants with the opposition, just kind of batting her on the supports like they're play toys. But in the end, yeah, just really good initiation. Batrider and Brewmaster getting a lot of really important pickoffs, and they played a very interesting, very dynamic lineup about disable, initiation, and pure lockdown and damage to follow it up with the auras from Luna and Vengeful Spirit. So in general, I think that MadGaming played extremely well, and they definitely won this. They got $200 extra out as a direct result of this, $250 for the 3rd prize victory. And then the only thing that remains is decide who is going to be the BroTournament #1 victor and grand champion. Going to go into the finals in just a little bit. It's going to be a best of 3 series between L Pride and XX5. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Again, we had kind of talked about this in the last game. If they will be able to handle EL Pride's very aggressive style, or if they'll just respond with aggression of their own.
Sure enough. So a lot of different clashing of those. I've casted XX5 a little bit. Nexus, both times around that I casted them, picked up a Lifestealer and got him so insanely farmed it was ridiculous. Like, he was actually shut down in one of the games, like didn't have but 20 CS in 8 minutes, and then bounced back with like over 200 only like 20 minutes later. Obviously, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but no, he was really amazing at farming, and I'm hoping to see a little bit of that action, see some aggressive, maybe like Chaos Knight or something like that from Bigos, and then see Lifestealer try to go toe-to-toe with him. But we'll have to to see. Looking forward to that in just a little bit, but we're already a little bit behind schedule as far as starting that up, so we'll get on to the next game in just a little minute. We're going to put on some music in the meantime, and then we'll get on to the lobby. Thanks so much for tuning in, and for those of you guys that don't know, this is Blaze casting and Blightwind casting up this BroTournament here, so thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hopefully you guys can check out our casts in the future. We're going to be casting on the twitch.tv/DotaBro. Very frequently. It's going to be, I think, a 24/7 stream of continuous content from the league, so casters like us will be very frequently making visits here and trying to bring his best commentary for the community here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this far, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the content thereafter.